Aloha, everybody. It's wonderful that in this time of physical distancing and staying at home as much as possible, we have this technology to be with each other, even across 2,700 miles of ocean. Although I can't see your faces, I feel you in my heart, and my memories, and I'm so happy to be with all of you once again. Seal Beach CSL will always remain my #1 spiritual community, and I'm so happy that Reverends Michael and Nicole are giving it so much of their love, along with so many of you who are volunteering to keep it going. I want to talk about the natural world and resilience today, but I would be remiss if I didn't first remember a giant in the world of nonviolence and equality in the passing of Senator John Lewis. Even though his time on earth is complete, his resilience, his courage, and his wisdom will live on. I felt a genuine sense of loss when I heard the news. And at the risk of sounding just a little political, I do hope the bridge in Selma will be renamed to honor the great John Lewis. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the tragic loss of lives brought on by this pandemic. And I know some of you may have lost someone you cared deeply about. And if so, I'm profoundly sorry. As I listen to people talking about their experiences of being confined for so long, one of the ways that many people are coping is through nature in some form. Some of us are fortunate to live near the ocean, as so many of you in Seal Beach do, as we do here in Hawaii, or have beautiful places to walk. And many Facebook friends post photos of flowers from their morning walks, and others are growing vegetable gardens and enjoying the benefits of their own labor. I've always felt that nature was our first cathedral. I live near a forest of Canary Island pines, which have long, slender needles and make a beautiful sound in the wind. I call it the Enchanted Forest. When you walk there, the ground is so soft from those gentle needles. There are also wonderful walks along the beaches, and I can sit on my lanai in the morning and in the afternoon and listen to the songs of the birds and the occasional crowing of our infamous Kauai roosters. But throughout my life, the natural world has taught me a great deal about resilience. And we need resilience right now. The Cambridge Dictionary defines resilience as the ability to be happy, successful again, after something difficult has happened. And I also found another quote I really liked by a man named James Cosio, and I know nothing about the man, but I love what he said. Resilience is all about being able to overcome the unexpected. Sustainability is about survival, and the goal of resilience is to thrive. To thrive. The goal of resilience is to thrive. Can we thrive during this time? I believe we can. It's interesting that as this pandemic continues, the natural world is thriving. We have cleaner air, cleaner water, restoration of sea life and coral, and nature is thriving in so many parts of the world as humankind has left it alone. There's much that we can learn from the natural world. I want to share some of the significant moments I've had with nature. My first experience happened when I was 16. I went on a bus trip with my youth group from a Methodist church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was the summer of 1959. I know some of you weren't even born yet, or it weren't even a thought in your parents' mind yet. But that was 2 years after school integration began in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so our minister arranged for us to go to Little Rock and meet with youth from churches there and learn about what was being done to bring about integration. It was an enlightening time. It was the first time I had ever seen separate drinking fountains and bathrooms for people of color. I felt it was a heartbreaking disgrace. Jim Crow was alive and well. And we went on from there through Oklahoma and Texas and into New Mexico, where we stayed at Ghost Ranch, which is north of Santa Fe, in a little town called Abiquiu, New Mexico. This beautiful branch is owned by the Presbyterian Church. It's surrounded by red rock mesas and brilliant blue skies. Our youth group had the run of the place. It was also where one of my most favorite artists, Georgia O'Keeffe, lived, and she created some of her most magnificent paintings there. Part of our retreat was that we had been asked to go out into the wide open land of this ranch and listen for a message from God. As a girl who had been growing up in the Midwest and the East, I was struck by the magnificence of this place. I had never even seen mountains before. As I walked along the trail, I noticed how scratchy the soil was. So many of the plants had thorns or stickers on them. I noticed the tracks of a sidewinder rattlesnake, thankfully going off in a direction away from me. I was thinking about how it was both beautiful and foreboding at the same time. Suddenly, something stopped me, and I looked down at my feet, and there was a brilliant pink flower, no bigger than a quarter. And it was glowing so much that the outer edges of it were blue, a brilliant blue. I had never seen a flower like it, and I have never seen one since. I looked at that glowing flower, and I heard a voice. And it told me that life may often feel thorny and scratchy and even sometimes scary, but there is always beauty. Look for the beauty. That message has played out over and over again in my life. Look for the beauty. Look for the natural world and look at humankind and see it in the faces of these incredible workers who are taking such good care of us right now. Make it a daily practice to see beauty in your own eyes. Look within yourself. Look into your mirror and see those eyes, even if they're groggy looking in the morning. There's beauty there. Look at the beauty of the food on your plate, or the happy tail-wagging dog your neighbor walks past you every morning. Beauty feeds the soul, and it also enlivens our hearts as we move through our days. The next things I've learned is that apparent destruction always leads to new growth. Think about the plant world around us. Sometimes it seems as though the land can be strafed and destroyed. Here on the Big Island, the volcanic eruptions can destroy everything in their path. Yet new land is created. And within a year's time, ancient ferns and other plants are already growing in the only recently cooled lava rock. In California and other parts of the West, we have the forest fires. And giant sequoia trees have fire-resistant bark. Did you know that? I learned that when I looked them up. And their seeds, I did know this, their seeds need fire in order to crack open the hard outer shell and begin to sprout new life. Isn't that symbolic? That these little seeds cannot grow unless they have been exposed to fire. And then just think about the cracks in the pavement and the grass growing up between them. New life nearly always emerges from apparent destruction. And natural law, which is what we live by truly, is impersonal, just as spiritual law is impersonal, for we really live with both. Sometimes we humans have difficulty working within the laws of the natural world, and yet we're also definitely part of this divine pattern of perfection that has been created by that one spirit, that one life, and created out of itself. And even this virus is no respecter of persons. It is also subject to those same natural laws. And then the other thing I've learned from nature is sustainability. It comes from working together. Although this has been a refuted statement of Charles Darwin, the premise remains true. It is the long history of humankind and animal kind that those who learn to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. Those who have learned to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. If we look at the animal kingdom, we can see that over and over again. Look how creatures collaborate and work together. Think about the bees creating the hive and the ants bringing food back to the colony, or wild animals running in herds and predators running after them in packs. Working together is how we co-create a world that works for everyone. Here in the islands, we understand the necessity of working together, and we cooperate together. We wear our masks, and we share our abundance with those who are struggling. And we're also getting through this together. We understand the meaning of ohana, or family. And so our collaboration and cooperation are working. We're living in what I call fallow time. And fallow time is another thing that I see in nature. And it's how we are living right now. Just as the farmers leave a field devoid of a crop for a prolonged period of time in order to allow the soil to regenerate, that's what we're doing now in this fallow time. We're allowing our spiritual soil to regenerate. It is a prolonged time. It's a time of reflection. It's a time of building resilience and of recreating how we want to live in the world. So as the soil of our consciousness lays fallow, new ideas and creative solutions emerge. I've heard so many people tell me that they don't want everything to go back the way it was. They want to see a world that works for everyone. And cooperation and collaboration are essential in order to do that. I can't explain what caused this pandemic. I can't give you reasons for why it's happening. I can't predict when it will end, but I can know that God is ever present in this time, and that as we care for ourselves and others, we are doing God's work in the world. It is necessary to understand the truth of our situation as we know it today, and to use that truth to work together to restore our ability to coexist. Ernest Holmes says this about truth. He says, we cannot be afraid when we know the truth, that the greatest good accompanying such an understanding of truth will be the elimination of fear. Truth does work to eliminate fear. He says, this understanding will rob us of our loneliness and give us a sense of security which knows no fear, a peace without which no life can be happy, a poise which is founded on this peace, and a power which is the result of the union of peace with poise. I love that, the union of peace with poise, that we get a sense of security when we understand the truth. And what I know about the truth is always about Spirit's activity and expression in our lives. And that when we tune into that and align ourselves with it, we are guided and we are able to listen to that intuitive self within us and move forward in consciousness. So look for the beauty. Recognize that even out of destruction, new life emerges. Remember that natural and spiritual law are impersonal, but as we work with these laws in cooperation and collaboration, we find sustainability. Use this fallow time to imagine and recreate the life that you envision. So I invite you to just consider the ways that nature has informed you about your own resilience. I can think of so many more examples, but I don't want to run out of time. The other gift of focusing on nature and on beauty is that it brings you peace of mind. You know, I am just as vulnerable to the hamster wheel and the hypnosis of social media and the news as anybody else. But when I allow myself to be distracted by the beauty around me, I find peace. We all inhabit this small island called Mother Earth. You've heard me say that a million times. If we're to survive as a species, we must work together for the common good. And that's why I love our vision of a world that works for everyone. It can only be achieved by our understanding that we are all one, and that we are here to build that beloved community that John Lewis and Reverend Dr. Martin King, and Dr. King, and so many others envisioned. So take a moment with me to reflect on the one power and the creative spirit that indwells all of life. Let's just take this moment to go within. I know that that spirit is within me and within each one of us. That spirit is love. It is wholeness. It is beauty. It is creativity, and it's infinite good. And I know that as we embody these qualities, we create a life of sustainability and resilience. In the fallow times, we discover inner peace. In seeing beauty all around us, we are inspired. In recognizing the expansiveness of nature, we recognize a world of abundance. All of this is ours by divine birthright. As we look into the eyes of our neighbors, we discover mirrors of our own selves and the gifts of divine love. So today, I keep my mind and my heart open, the gifts of nature all around me. I am so grateful for the good that is God. I release my words and my thoughts into the infinite mind, the heart, and the law of the one. And I say, and so it is. I'm so grateful that I got to be with you today. I'm really happy that I am part of your community in this way. And I look forward to the day when I will be there in person to give each of you a great big real hug. In the meantime, it'll just have to be a virtual one. So here it is. And so I say aloha for now and au hui ho.